You know, in a Premier League season, you have moments. Moments that are defining. Moments that shape the course of the season. Moments that dictate where the title will end up come the end of the season. And it feels like this is one of those moments. As Manchester City have beaten Everton comprehensively by 3-0, and Arsenal have capitulated against a fantastic Brighton side by the same scoreline. You feel like it's all changed. Arsenal were a boxer on the ropes. They'd taken a couple of punches. They were down, but not out. And in this moment, Manchester City have landed that final hammer blow. But what happened during the game? Today, we are going to be going through both matches because we have a lot to talk about here on the recap. Please like the video and subscribe. It really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk football. Arsenal 0, Brighton 3, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be talking about how Arsenal have thrown the title away, how Man City have won yet again. But really, the story should be about Brighton and what I would describe as the perfect away performance. I don't think there was anything in that game that Brighton did with regards to their bravery on the ball, their ability through the lines of midfield, through the lines of attack, their defensive capabilities when Arsenal really came onto them. They were aggressive, they were powerful. We're going to be getting into it in just a moment, but I was so impressed with Brighton. They outclassed Arsenal in nearly every single department. When we have a look at the attacking momentum bar, we can see that in the first half, yes, it was quite even. You had some spikes for Brighton, you had some spikes for Arsenal. Arsenal really had some decent chances in the first half, but then come to the second half and Brighton started to really gain some composure in the game, especially around about the 50th, 55th minute when they got their goal. It just settled down the entirety of that Brighton side and allowed them to play with a little bit more freedom. And as you can see, they had some attacking spikes going forward themselves. Arsenal limited to very, very little. And when we have a look at some of the teams, I do think that not enough is being made of the team selection. Now, I'm not blaming Mikel Arteta because he was injured, but the choice to play Kieran Tierney instead of Alexander Zinchenko, and it's not a choice because Zinchenko was injured, was a massive one for Arsenal. I don't think enough is being made of it. With the added midfield pressure that Arsenal would have been under because of the likes of McAllister, Gilmour and Gross, what ended up happening was that Kieran Tierney was not able to fill that midfield void, which meant that a lot was being put on Jorginho. And in that instance, Jorginho and Odegaard couldn't work together well enough to be able to dictate the play further up the pitch. And this prevented Arsenal from gaining a foothold of possession in the match. And it just meant that Brighton, whenever they wanted to, were able to take the sting out of it. But they were also able to up the pressure. They were able to up the tempo of the match. Everything was being played to Brighton's tune. And you don't normally see that in an away match from an away performance, especially not at the Emirates with how good Arsenal have been over this current period of time. During this season, Arsenal have been absolutely fantastic. But I've got to say, I'm not digging him out, but I do think that Kieran Tierney, while defensively, yes, he won his grand duels, I just think what Arsenal lacked in terms of really trying to create some momentum in the match and really trying to create some pressure, some possession during the game. I thought that the lack of Zinchenko was a big one. As you can see from their positions, they're fine, but this one from Kieran Tierney is a massive problem for me, especially against a Brighton side that you know is going to have a lot of the ball. You know they're going to be very, very dangerous, and really, I think that Zinchenko would have changed this game and really stopped Brighton from being able to play out so easily. And also, it would have kept the ball with Arsenal for a longer period of time, sustaining attacks on Brighton, especially when they got the crowd up. But it wasn't to be. Martinelli ends up going off. We're going to be talking about that challenge in just a second. Then we can see that Saka didn't have his best game, neither did Jesus. And really, it was a game of if, buts and maybes for Arsenal. If we have a look at Brighton, though, you can see these two players in Colwill and Dunk were very, very deep, but look how high the fullbacks are, and this is what we highlighted in our Everton-Brighton video. This is how Brighton play. They like to go forwards, they like to support their wingers, they're very, very brave, they like to be pressurising continuously, very aggressive, and it also allows the likes of Ferguson to drop in, allowing Matoma and Enciso to go forwards. It's all well organised, backed up by their fullbacks, and Ferguson just holds that ball up. I thought he did a fantastic job, by the way. Ferguson. I thought Evan Ferguson was brilliant, and we can have a look at his duels now. He won 6 out of his 5 ground duels, and for his age, that is just brilliant, especially away from home, when you're not going to be having a lot of the ball. It's just so good. Brighton were absolutely fantastic, and it's just a credit to them that they did so well. We can have a look at some of the stats now, because really, I'm not kidding when I say that Brighton dominated this match. 59% possession at the Emirates. Arsenal are at home, remember. Arsenal are at home. And Brighton dominated the ball. 0.72 expected assists, 1.72 expected goals. Compare that to Arsenal and it just dwarfs it by comparison. Yes, Arsenal had more shots, but only 2 shots on target at home against Brighton. Just nowhere near good enough. Brighton with 6. It was a proper masterclass. A De Zerbi masterclass. Again, Brighton winning most of their duels, most of their aerials. It was just a fantastic performance, and one that has both dented the title race for Arsenal, but also promoted Brighton through into an idea that makes them think they might be able to get some kind of European football, especially with the games in hand that they have. Their running is difficult, yes, but with these performances, with this ability on and off the ball, I think Brighton have a massive chance, especially with De Zerbi. He seems very cool, very level-headed, and he understands what he needs from his players. I was extremely impressed. Arsenal, I think, are a bit early for the title, and this was one of the games that really showcased that. But Brighton are a fantastic footballing side that need to be given, if you can believe it, that little bit more credit, because they are fantastic to watch. Their aggression, their tenacity, and their ability to really play through the lines of midfield. The Arsenal press couldn't get near them at times, and really it became almost quite embarrassing to a certain point later on in the game. I thought Brighton were absolutely fantastic, and they have shattered Arsenal's title hopes. The game ended Brighton 3, Arsenal 0, or should I say Arsenal 0, Brighton 3. The perfect away performance. And then there was one. If there was ever going to be a game that you would expect Man City to drop points in, if there ever is a game for Man City to drop points in, it would be away from home against Everton. Following a game that Man City had in Madrid in the Champions League, the game that they seriously are prioritising, with Everton desperately needed something just off the back of beating Brighton by 5-1, you would have expected something to happen. Alas, for Arsenal and anyone involved in the title race that is not Manchester City, that was not the case. Man City absolutely dominated this game, and the game was won by the first half, I want to say. Credit to Man City in the way that they played and the way they controlled the game, but I actually think that Everton defended quite well, believe it or not. I actually thought that they came with a decent game plan, and for the most part, they were really good defensively. I genuinely thought that Man City started to struggle to really create chances, and once the first goal goes in, it really is the end of the line there. Haaland is a different beast, but when we talk about Ilkay Gundogan, I don't think he gets enough credit, and it seems like he might be leaving Manchester City, and I think that's a massive mistake because of the quality that Gundogan has. If you look at that first goal, please, I implore you, stay on this video, open a new tab, look at the Gundogan goal, and then come back to me, because it was absolutely sensational. The control was just superb. The finish was audacious, and really that should have given Manchester City all of the quality and all of the encouragement that they needed to go forwards. Yes, Everton had a decent spell in the second half, but really the game was won. It was 3-0 by that point, and the game was over, really. In the first half, it was all done and dusted. And if we have a look at some of the players here, this is how the team set up. I was actually quite impressed with the way that Everton defended, believe it or not. I thought they limited Man City in certain areas. I thought they forced them to go wide, especially because they packed through the midfield. Idrissa Gana Gueye, Doucouré and Ghana have started to create some kind of a midfield partnership. I thought that energy-wise they were very good. Calvert-Lewin was very good at holding the ball up as well, making sure they were able to try and get some kind of transition. McNeil has started to find his feet. Iwobi is doing well as well. And really, overall, I was very impressed. I was very, very impressed by the way that Everton defended, and if they continue to do that, I think there's some really good plus points here, and they can definitely get some certain points later on in games and the remaining matches they have to try and stay up. But as for Manchester City, this is the Everton, obviously the average positions that they had, but I want to focus on Man City here, because while I thought that Everton did well, Man City understood what they needed to do, and if we have a look at this here, we can see that this is the back four. Fine, great. Laporte is a little bit further forward here, And really, for this setup, the couplets in this side are very, very impressive. And it's the width that they have with these couplets that just allows Man City to spread out Everton that little bit more. And what it created was space in the middle for the likes of Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez. We have Akanji and Walker. We have Laporte coming further towards midfield as well, with Diaz as that sweeper whenever he needs to be there. Rodri obviously dictating play from that centre circle. And really, it was the width that was created from these players. If I just highlight this, look how wide Gundogan is here. Look how wide Phil Foden is here. And then again, look how wide Riyad Mahrez is. It's the width across the pitch that stretched out Everton and then created the spaces for the likes of Erling Haaland, who occupied quite a decent amount of proportion in the box. And really, it was this that was Everton's downfall. It was the width that Man City played with. It was the ability to spread out the play and then have players drift infield when it was necessary, keeping the space for Haaland, and that's where that second goal comes from. It was just fantastic play. But when we think about the way that Man City go forwards, when we think about the way that they like to play, it's not one-dimensional. They don't only go through the middle, which I think is where Sean Dyche placed most of his players, where he wanted to really fill the areas, fill the gaps. Idrissa Gana Gueye obviously dropping in to make sure that it was tight in the midfield. If we go back and have a look at these average positions, we can see that's kind of what they were going for. Look at these three here, and then you have Idrissa Gana Gueye here, to make sure that there's a big block in midfield to stop them from going through the middle, obviously. And then the width, as I said, is just the thing that really did hurt Everton later on down the line. We have a look at some of the statistics, because Man City were just dominant, honestly, but only 4 shots on target. Only 9 shots. And I say only 9 shots, and I do mean that, because they were very good, Everton. I was very impressed with the way they defended. 1.78 expected goals as well, by the way. Man City did ride their luck on certain occasions, and really, they probably could have got a goal out of the game, and it could have been a tougher obstacle for Man City. If we have a look at these duels won as well, they're playing for the badge. They're playing for Sean Dyche, and they're playing for themselves and their fans. There are positives to take out of this for Everton. I don't want this to be a Man City are great, Everton are bad. That's not the case at all. I think there are some real plus points to take out of this, and if they take those plus points, I think they'll be absolutely fine in a couple of their remaining games. But Man City just had a little bit too much for them on the day, and it looks like this is the result that has sealed Manchester City the title. They now go to Madrid. Can they get that final win to secure the Premier League title? You wouldn't bet against them, would you? Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well on Man City, Arsenal and the title race. Also, if there was a game from this weekend that I did not cover in the recap, please let me know what it is and what you would like me to talk about, and perhaps we can cover it in another show. That's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.